everyone, as you can see that the phone is coming to the East Coast, and I'm going to meet with His Holiness Candramauli Swami. He's one of the leaders of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Every year he comes to Boston to give lecture to students, entrepreneurs, and other people. Today I'm going to ask him about Bhagavad Gita, the most famous Hindu text. I'm gonna ask him about how to bring Bhagavad Gita into everyday lives so that we can have a wise way of living. And in the meantime, please enjoy the life and see you then.
Bro, go get it, go get it.
His Holiness Candramauli Swami, thank you so much for being here. Today I'm gonna ask you some questions about Bhagavad Gita as a guidance for a wise ways of living. So this verse is about who you are. You are what you believe in. You become that which you believe you can become. Man is made by his belief. As he believes, so he is. So a person can choose the highest identity to believe in.
That's material. We are something in our beliefs. We are actually a spiritual being. But that has nothing to do with man, woman, or any species of life. That's our spiritual identity. That's who we are. This body is where we live while we're in this world. We are the soul within the body. So that statement which you referred to is the mind projecting itself outward towards material things.
So if people get identified with a soul or higher consciousness, even if it's just a belief, but it is still helpful?
Yeah, because that's the reality. Bhagavad Gita says, never was a time that you did not exist. And Krishna says, nor was I ever not existing. You don't remember the past, but I remember everything. So he's speaking to his disciple Arjuna. So we are eternal spiritual beings who inhabit different bodies from life after life. We're living in this material body at this present time. But the verse you're referring to is when we project our material desires on the external environment and we try to come up with some understanding, identification through that. Like you might identify yourself as an interviewer.
No, I don't.
But that's one thing you do. So in other words, a person identifies with what they do.
Yeah.
Or they might identify with what country they're from. Or they might identify what species they are. Or they might identify what age group they're in. But these are all mental projections. Because we're none of these things, it's all reference to the body. Soul, or in the body, we have an identity and we also have an activity that is based on our identity, and that is we are meant to serve the Lord.
Yeah. But is it possible if we don't get identified with a specific identity to operate in this world?
It's better if you don't. If you know who you really are, that's the best thing. Just like if you say you were an actress on the stage, you may play so many roles in the mood of an actress, but you know who you are separate from those roles. So in the same way, we play roles in this world, but the idea is not to identify with the role you play, but understand that you're something different from that role.
Yes. So when we become professional in something, we get identify ourselves with that too.
Yeah, because people see you that way.
Yeah, exactly.
And they reinforce that identity.
All the time, 24 hours a day. How could one escape from that identity?
Well,
but actually you do the job better when you get identified with that. That's what keeps you.
Yeah, it's not that you shouldn't do the work in the best possible way, but you have to know you're something different than that. That work will end at a certain time, but you will continue to go on. So although the work is important at the time you're doing it, still when it ends, you don't change your real identity. You go through different, what we say, temporary identities. But your real identity is the same, always. You're a spiritual being, you have an intimate relationship with God. And to understand that relationship means to serve God.
Do you think the consciousness that we perceive right now to be the same, the consciousness when the body dies?
Yeah, the consciousness is always spiritual. Now, consciousness and mind is two different things. The mind is impressions upon the consciousness, but consciousness is pure because it's an expression of the soul's existence. So, the mind is simply a series of desires, activities, experiences, emotions that are impressed upon the consciousness, but that's all material. Once we leave this body, we still remain in our pure we still remain pure consciousness, but the only problem is, as long as we have desires to enjoy this world, we will get another material body. So you can't not be in a material body while you're still living in this material world. You get one body, you get another body, and you go through that body and another one. The only way you can come to your state of pure consciousness without a material existence is when you have it's called self-realization, or full God realization. Then there's no longer material bodies. Then you're eligible to return to the spiritual world. Your consciousness matches the consciousness of the spiritual world. As long as your consciousness is material, you have to stay in this world. When your consciousness is fully spiritual, you go to the spiritual world. Consciousness directs our existence accordingly.
Interesting. It's also the same in the world.
Yeah. I mean, you are what you think.
Yeah. So if people get identified with their bodies and always operate from the thoughts or thinkings level, they're always under the law of the physical world, right?
Yeah, identification of the body and mind and activities based on that identification is, the physical or the mental world, both. Mental is another form of physical, but it's more subtle. You have the physical level, you have the mental level, and then you have the spiritual level. Mental level includes the intellectual level, which is a higher form of mental level, but it's still material.